Hello, hello. Today we're going to be talking about specials, which is an important mechanic in Splatoon. Generally, they're used to have a big swing in your favor. So when you use them, you want to make sure that they count. And there is a specific mechanic when you're using your special that I want to make sure that we're taking advantage of. And that mechanic is when I use my special, it refills to full. So what that means is that any paint that you don't use prior to popping your special will be wasted. What's the most time efficient way to get rid of your ink tank? Usually it is through the use of sub-weapons. So if we take Splash, for example, Splash has burst bombs. Two important pieces when it comes to the burst bombs is that they do damage and they paint. So the damage obviously synergizes well with the crab because it makes their HP lower and easier to splat, but the paint as well is good because it provides you information when you're using your crab, and it can also restrict enemy movement, which we'll see in a later example. Anytime before you're using a crab, if you have a full ink tank, you can usually get 2 burst bombs out. If you have about half a tank, just throw 1 and immediately go into your special. There's some other weapons that we can use for examples. One example that I have is with the Flingza roller. Flingza is going to be a little bit different. It's sub, which is the ink mine. It isn't as high impact on usage. When I play Flingza, especially in splat zones, a lot of times I'm going to want to constantly be painting. So a lot of times I'll actually time my special once I run out of ink. So run out of ink, use special, and I'm back to a full tank and I can continue painting almost immediately. There are some other weapons that have some interesting applications. One of those is the V Junior, which has the splat bomb. A lot of times when people run the V Junior, they will run the Ink Saver sub. And if you run enough of it, it will allow you to throw on a full tank, you can throw 2 splat bombs. And if we pair it with the mechanic of, when you use your special, you could get a full ink tank again. What you can do, throw 2 bombs, pop special, throw 2 more. So that can apply a lot of pressure very fast. And in a lot of cases, you can catch the enemy off guard because they do not expect you. A lot of times they don't expect you to throw 2 bombs, but especially wouldn't expect 3 or 4. If you're going to use your special as junior and you have a full ink tank, there's no reason for you not to throw at least 1 bomb, if not, 2. A newer kit that I've been working with in this new season that I think gets a lot of value from this mechanic is the new orange zap. The reason for it is because Super Chump, a lot of people's initial impression is that it's a little bit weak, but it's a special that gets a lot of value from more and more bombs and more paint and more pressure. You want to be really aggressive and commit with the Super Chump special in order to get value from it. And again, if we combine these mechanics together, you can get 1 auto bomb off before, pop the special, and get another one as you continue approaching. And it's just more pressure that will either zone them off or, force them to take a fight with you. So we'll be going over a couple of examples to kind of show you the use of sub-weapons before using your special. So in this example, we are getting this initial pick. Well, we're looking for an opportunity to catch someone off guard or out of position to combo things together. And in this spot, you see the Hydra on their back spine area. And as I move forward, I see them painting over here and they end up jumping and compromising their position. So in this scenario, this is a good indicator for us that we're able to go in and punish them. We do damage with the direct. The paint makes it harder for them to get behind that pillar and get behind cover. And that gives us enough time to get an expo shot out and get some of those turret shots out to clean that up. So in this example, we initially catch this person off guard and get the shred. I want to start taking control of that right side because I see that heavy over there. They look for an aggressive play and I'm able to stop it. In the spot, this is a good example of restricting enemy movement and getting value out of the paint, even though you don't necessarily do any damage. So we'll see here that I throw the burst bomb to the left, and where that enemy was, they are no longer able to go to the left because there's no paint. So either they need to move forward, which they aren't likely to do, you know, running forward in front of a crab. So they basically are forced to go right here, and that allows me to have an easier time predicting their movement and cleaning up the play. And we get that there. I'll go through the rest of the clip because we get a couple more spots after. Maybe that last one not deserved, but in this example, we are playing in a solo queue match. This is a 3v4 because unfortunately someone DC'd. Nintendo Online moment. But there's a couple of things in action here. The first thing I wanted to mention is part of using your special is that you want to use your special when it makes sense and when it gives you the most advantage. So currently the tower has a big bubbler on it, and Crab does a good job at shredding it. But if you look at the time, they really only have time for like one more push, and we have a lead of 28, and they're about to get, you know, they're probably at around 70 here and are going to start gaining points shortly. So I don't need to rush and immediately shred. Obviously I have to still build paint for special, but even if I had special here, I would still want to wait a little bit because naturally that bubbler is going to run out of HP and explode itself. So I don't need to waste my crab value on it. So I'm going to actually wait until the tower starts moving to the left side before I even think about, you know, going for the sub weapon and crab play. So again, we need to make sure we have our special, and now it's getting closer to this left side. I try to get the burst bomb here and hit the person that's riding the tower, but they end up getting off. One important thing to notice here, even though I didn't do damage to the person on the tower, I completely covered the top surface of the tower with paint. What this does is when the person gets back onto the tower, they need to paint that tower in order for them to be able to move around comfortably. And either they don't paint it and they can't go into squid form and they have a harder time dodging, or they do paint, and as we'll see here, during their animation of painting, they are vulnerable during that time. So we get that easy pick there. The rest of this play is a little goofy, not gonna lie, but we have Doppel rolling down. I get a pick with a burst bomb and then easy jump ins, and are able to salvage that game. So we get the paint on the tower. Because I saw them go off the tower on the right side, I can kind of start pre-firing and just guess that they're gonna be climbing the tower on that far end, which is what they end up doing. And you'll actually see here for a brief moment, once they get on the tower, they have to start painting. Their movement is restricted because you move slower when you are painting, and they're a little, you know, they're not hiding behind the pole, and that allows me to reposition if I need to, which I don't really need to here, but can get the easy pick. This is actually going to be an example of me not using my burst bombs, and I'll go into the reasons why, which it's debatable, but either way, they're in a position to score. My entire team's gone down. I pop my crab and immediately get into the turret mode. We're able to clean them up and then get a nice expo shot on the final person. So the reason why I didn't use my burst bomb here and didn't use my sub weapon is because I get this pick, and in this spot, they're all marked, but the other important point is that I can see them moving and just trying to get in as many clams as possible. So for me, revving up the turret and just being able to get value out of that turret mode to clean them up as fast as possible and get that velocity going on the turret is the most important thing in this scenario. And that's why I valued that over wasting, even though it doesn't take a lot of time to get the sub weapon out and getting your burst bomb out, that time I saw as it being more valuable just popping the crab immediately. So in this scenario, you could totally, I think both make sense if you wanted to use the burst bomb or not, but that was my reasoning of why I decided against doing it. Another scenario, especially as a crab player, in Splash Player that when you're opening on matches, in a lot of cases, you can have specific routes that you use, and we'll let this play run out. But we get some burst bombs to do a little bit of chip and also get us some paint. I'll break it down here. The beginning of the match is kind of a set play where beforehand you can go into recon mode or you can go into a PB and practice your paint routes. And you can go into the, have the same pathing, paint the same things, and consistently get, you can expect to have special at a very specific time and be very precise with all of that. And Sturgeon is a map that you can do it on all the maps, but Sturgeon in particular, my goal is to either paint over here on the left side, and I'll either get on the left grate or I'll climb up to our snipe tower, and that way it gives us a vantage point on mid where those initial fights will be taking place. So a lot of times I like to opt, especially in solo queue, to this left side because I get a nice clean angle to get burst bombs on that slanted left part of top mid. So it's personal preference, but just getting high ground at the beginning and trying to get your special as early as possible is what's most important. So, I basically have my entire special and the burst bomb paint that I get out because I have enough to throw 2 burst bombs. So the first burst bomb should effectively give me enough for special so I can get both of them out and be ready to pop special. In the spot, I see multiple people here on that left part of top mid. So that's where I get my burst bombs. And you'll see in this spot, I get the burst bombs out and immediately pop special after. Again, this is just the set play. And with the paint that's on that ramp, so part of it, I have hit them and have done some damage, but also I have restricted their movement so they have a harder time just kind of swimming away. There's a lot of enemy paint or our team's paint around them, so they have to be a little bit more deliberate with their movement and they're gonna have a harder time getting behind the cover. So that's how we're able to get this first pick here. And then after we get this pick, they've kind of scattered at this point, which getting an initial pick is plenty of value, especially at the beginning of the game, to allow you just kind of help your team in mid clean up anyone else that may be there, and then you can start taking the enemy side and start painting over there and getting pressure over there. And you've basically won mid if you get an early pick, but I still have half a crab left over. So during the spot, I'm just going to hit expo shots in likely places that they can hide, also places that I'm able to reach. So I hit one over there and I see some enemy paint underneath the top mid area. Just with that vantage point through Fight Club, and can see that there's some paint over there. So I didn't get any indicator that I did damage to someone with that first expo shot, so I just decided to choose a new location. Fortunately, I was able to hit someone and we got another pick. So 2 picks at the beginning, we're picking up Rainmaker, we can kind of move forward. This is an awesome opening. Getting value out of your special can come in different forms, but we definitely get value out of the sub weapon here. And so here we throw 2 burst bombs. The first bomb is on the left side, which is good, but the second one ends up hitting this pink pillow sitting in the zone. Ideally, I wanted to throw it on the right side of the zone so we get paint on both sides, but a little bit of a mechanical misplay on my part. But either way, we still get some paint here on the left side, and that allows me to immediately follow this up with expo shots and more paint. If you get 2 burst bombs that actually paint, the expo shot should at least contest the zone in most cases, and then that gives your team additional time, especially in a scenario like this where we are about to lose in overtime. So I get those expo shots. I'm unfortunately unable to contest the zone, but in this clip we have a junior by me. So the junior is fighting me. Their tri-stringer is sitting on the little sniper perch and they're watching me. They fired all their missiles at me. So 3 people have my attention. So in this kind of scenario, I'm pressured so much as Crab. I just want to survive as long as I can. And I just have to trust my teammates that if there's 3 people spending their entire attention just on me, the rest of my team should have an easy time moving into the zone and contest it. So I just go into ball form. I'm kind of min-maxing my movement. I want to be in position for my main weapon after the crab pops to start immediately shooting and getting burst bombs as fast as I can. So that's why I start moving toward the zone here. And with the way that the missile logic works, the missiles are going to trail behind me because I'm moving forward. So we're actually able to break the zone at the end here, but the biggest part about all of this is getting that initial paint. And you know, this alleviates pressure. Putting pressure on the objective alleviates pressure for the rest of your team to move in and help neutralize and take the zone back. So at a certain point, I can't go full crab mode because there are 3 people putting their full attention on me. So I just have to do everything that I can to try to help with this. And that's what we're able to do there. So in this example, the burst bombs that I throw aren't really that great, but it's one of those scenarios that you use it or you lose it. So it's either get those burst bombs out and just guess a position to try to get value out of them, or don't. And obviously, you know, additional paint on the map for our team is always a net positive. So we should at least get into the good habit of throwing those bombs, because in certain cases they may actually do damage, but I have a hard time really knowing where people are currently, or they're outside of the range of my bombs. But I get 2 burst bombs, which get a little bit of paint on the zone, which isn't too bad. It also lets us know that there isn't someone sharking in that area. So again, that's additional information that I wouldn't have had if I just swam immediately and got into position. So I hold on in squid form just for a quick brief second to get that 3rd bomb off. Unfortunately, it's Tetris, so they don't really care about enemy paint, and I'm able to salvage it because I am a crab. We get a couple of cleanups here, and with all the extra paint that we did with crab, this reflux, this isn't really a great position for them anyways, but that paint that we did get on the right side of the zone, and with all of the paint from the duration of our crab, they don't have, like, we've restricted their movement, and it's easier for me to kind of follow all this up, and then they kind of panic because they have nowhere to run. Able to clean that up, call for help from my teammates, and the roller charges at me, so I have to take matters into my own hands. Even if I get splatted there, my teammates should be able to clean that up because I pinged them this way and did quite a bit of damage to the roller. This will be an example of not having to use your special. So in certain cases, you may get so much value from your sub that you actually don't need to use your special. So in this clip, we get enemy wipe. We're starting to push tower on left side, so initially get some pressure to help my Tetra, and then I start focusing on this left side. And again, burst bombs do a lot of damage, so if you string together a couple of hits like we did there, we can get a pick without having to use it, and then we can focus on using crab afterwards for the push. So an important other concept to note here is using your minimap. When people get tagged with damage, regardless of who the damage came from, I think it might be like 15 or 20 damage. I don't remember the exact amount that is required for the enemy to show up on your minimap. But if you do a partial damage with a sub, or, like a shooter, if you hit them with a couple of shots and they back up, you can always check your minimap in order to kind of see what they're trying to do. You can kind of see their arrows stretch a little bit, and that's letting me know that they're kind of committing forward. So I'm just going to keep throwing burst bombs over there. In a case like this, they either have to jump out or back up completely while the tower pushes through. So I don't need to necessarily pop my crab because I've already done the first couple of bombs, did so much damage that this person can't even peek out. If they were to try to press forward onto the ring in that little semicircle grate in front of them, there's a lot of ways for me to clean that up. So they have to kind of chill back, and they got a little bit greedy that we kind of saw through the minimap with them pushing forward, and we're able to clean up that pick with a burst bomb. So in a spot like this, instead of having to use our crab for that first splat, and if we use crab immediately for the first splat, we may not have even had a good angle to get that splat, but B, you know, it would be maybe 1 or 2 more seconds left of crab as we continue to push versus, you know, not using the special now and immediately being able to pop crab as we continue our push and can look to KO. Final clip that we're going to see is actually going to be with the Sloshing Machine. But again, getting value out of the Fizzy Bomb, it paints quite a bit. So it also does a good job of doing damage and painting. So first, we are able to win this 1v1. I make sure I have enough ink here to get a Fizzy Bomb off. I throw the Fizzy Bomb and immediately pop my special after. One thing you'll notice, the reason why I threw the Fizzy Bomb where I did is because it paints a line across the zone and across our side, which lets me know, like it gives me information and gives my team information if any of the other enemies are pushing past that line. Because in order for them to cross, either they have to jump over that paint and we see them, or they have to get out of ink, paint over it and move forward, which we'll also see them. So this prevents them from being able to shark forward a little bit when you're going into Booyah Bomb. A lot of people don't really punish it that much, but you are a little bit of a liability when you initially pop your Booyah Bomb for the rest of your own team, because you're effectively giving them a, you know, there's one less person on the map until I throw the Booyah Bomb. So good players in a lot of cases, when someone pops Booyah Bomb, they'll look to either take space forward or they'll look to get additional paint. And they can be aggressive for, you know, the couple of seconds that you have to charge up and throw your Booyah Bomb. So that Fizzy Bomb, I didn't really know exactly where the enemy was, but that coverage with paint gives me enough information to know if they're going to push past or not. So I'm going to look to also throw my Booyah Bomb over here, but with the information that we had with the Fizzy Bomb, and because I saw no one move past that line of paint that we provided, I know that they're either in the middle of the zone or they're behind the zone at this point. So I can be a little bit more aggressive and a little bit greedier with my Booyah Bomb, and I can throw it a little bit deeper so that the rest of my team has an opportunity to push forward. So that's what I do here. Again, in the context of taking the zone back, we're probably going to take zone back before I use my entire ink tank. So there's no reason for me not to just throw a Fizzy Bomb and get some additional paint and value before I start charging in. And the combination of the Booyah and the Fizzy, a lot happened there at the end, but a combination of that Booyah and the Fizzy I threw over the wall after was able to get 2 splats on the back part of the zone because I was able to be a little bit more greedy given the information that I had. And then the last 2 were caught in our teammate's vacuum, and that is an easy cleanup. So when you go into your matches moving forward, remember to use your sub weapons before your specials. Depending on the weapon that you main and the kit that you use, you're going to have creative ways that you can use your specials. So that's something that you're going to want to think about with top players that, you know, now that you're aware of these things, you'll notice in a lot of cases before they use their special, they're getting as many burst bombs as they can, or as many sub and utility that they can before using their special, just because it's free. As with the value of your specials, if you got value out of this video, feel free to like, slam the bell, do all those algorithm happy things that are possible, and let me know what weapon you main and how you plan or how you already use this tech. And if you also have any other ideas for future videos, I have some ideas and some videos in the works, but you know, I make these videos to help you all out. So if there's any specific topics that you're either uncomfortable with or you don't fully understand, and I can provide a perspective for you, I am more than happy to do so. So thank you everyone, and I will talk to you all soon.